Global Coaching Call, sponsored by Hearts and Minds, empowered by the Focus 5 team. I am your host, Cory Aldridge. It is a football Sunday. I am happy to have, part of the team. We got most of the guys. I got hated on for saying guys the other day in the group chat, but I'm not being hated on right now. I won't stand for it. But I really wanted all you guys. First of all, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing great.
Yeah. Did you say not good, Jacob?
No, I said good. I didn't say not good. What you talking about?
My hearing's bad. I would love for all you guys to introduce yourself. For all you people that don't know, everybody kind of knows me because you guys see me on the weekend. But all these guys are the masterminds behind the Focus 5 team and Hearts and Minds. I'm just here. So, Jessica, would you please introduce yourself? You are a mental coach.
Yes, thank you. And I love being a part of the guys. Thank you.
Guys.
I'm Jessica Morano Branch, and I am a mental performance coach. I'm also a teacher. I'm a soccer coach. I've played soccer for 22 years of my life, also at the semi-professional level. So lots of experience on the field, off the field. And through that, I also have my master's in trauma and resilience. So compiling all that together, I like working with athletes, parents of athletes, coaches to encourage them that, athletics is an up and down battle, that we're, here for the joy ride, even when it doesn't feel joyous. And through experiencing that, I think that I bring that perspective as well, not just as a coach, but player to player, athlete to athlete. So I love connecting with other athletes of all walks of life to bridge that gap of community, even when we aren't on a team and we do have to find an alternate route, filling that gap and still feeling a part of a team like we are today. That's what makes me happy. So I'm glad to be here, glad to be with you guys. And thanks for having me.
Mr. Dave, how about you? Mr. Dave Matthews.
What's up? What's up, y'all? My name is Dave Matthews. I am the head contributor to Focus 5 app, as well as a mental performance coach. Man, where do I start? Well, myself and Trevor Connor obviously met together when I was an intern for his through one of the organizations. So it was Spire Institute, which is an Olympic training facility. I have a master's degree in sports psychology. Me and Trevor go way back. I mean, what is that, like 10 years? More than that now, right? Yeah, that was like 12 years ago, Trevor. Really happy to be here. Been with Hearts and Minds for, about 5-6 years, going on 6 years so far. And I'm just really excited to kind of be a part of the team and really just continue the mission. And the mission really is to support the mental fitness of athletes, parents, coaches around the world.
Most importantly, where'd you get the fuzzy thing on your microphone?
Hey man, it just came with the Yeti mic. So
did it really?
Where is yours? Is I think the most.
That's what I'm saying. Mine must be bootleg.
Like it off of Temu.
I think so. I'm actually going to Amazon as soon as I get off of this, and I'm going to find one because that thing is awesome. Hey, I got it.
Thanks,
Mr. Jacob. First of all, guys, before I let Jacob introduce himself, Jacob is a genius. And he's genius and moderately handsome.
Okay. Well, I don't know which one of those are true, but
I heard of both.
I'll take a quick sip of water before I answer that. Yeah, I have been both an athlete and a employee and helping out for. When did I meet you, Trevor? Maybe 11 or 12 years old. Really? Long way back. He had showed up at my tennis academy, and one of the coaches he asked one of the coaches, hey, what kid out here needs the most help? And the coach was like, just listen. And, he heard me like a couple courts down, and it wasn't that I was, getting mad at my opponents, getting mad at myself, but that's a long story. But anyway, Trevor had, become my sports psychologist, and, everything he had done with Hearts and Minds kind of became my, grounding point. And then once my tennis career ended, I pretty much joined on as mainly graphic design and web design. But then it's kind of now evolved into, general manager and operations, and kind of having my hands in a lot of things, from the app to stress initiative to everything that we do. And it's been awesome thus far, and I can't wait to continue it.
All right. And then we have the Optimus Prime of the organization, Mr. Trevor.
What's up? It's good to see everybody. I miss you guys. I feel like I haven't blown up your guys' phones in a week. Like, what's up?
Yeah, I kind of miss you, to be honest. I'm not getting as many texts right now, so I'm not sure that's good or bad, but I don't feel as pressured in everyday life right now.
Yeah. So currently I'm overseas right now with my wife, her family, and anyway, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but Europe does not believe in heating or air conditioning. I don't know why. So like I'm bundled up with like 6 layers right now. I got a little cozy little office space. Got a space heater here, but anyway, no, I was giving Jacob a hard time earlier before you guys hopped on. I said, Jacob, how's it feel me not calling you every day and like asking you what's up and this and that and did you get this and check on that? And Jacob, share.
And I said, if I'm completely honest, it's a little nice. It's a little nice.
Yeah. Anyway, so no,
You got some freeze action going?
Looks like he's having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, he's kind of frozen over here. Give him a second to get back, see what happens. Must be that cold and heating in Europe. I've never been to Europe, so I don't know. That's one place I haven't been. I actually plan on going there. I've been talking about it today. Actually, one of my, I guess, hitters is actually headed there for Christmas. But I will introduce myself for guys that don't know, and Miss Jessica don't think she knows, but obviously Cory Aldridge. I am apparently head of parent coaching, and I am an ex-baseball player, played for 18 years, had the fortuitousness to play in Korea, Venezuela, Mexico, a little bit in Japan, major leagues and minor leagues. Now I'm currently a hitting coach, and I do some consulting for MLB and just baseball in general. So I think for me, being drafted super young, and now I'm 46, but I think that my ultimate passion or goal now is trying to help, I guess, kids and parents or players, whatever, not to go through some of the pitfalls that we all go through. I think all you guys that have played sports, obviously soccer and tennis. Dave, did you play sports? What did you play? What did you specialize in athletically?
Yeah, I didn't mention. I ran track and field in college for 4 years. I was also a college coach.
You do
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all, I don't know, have this passion for. I know I do. I've talked to most of you guys, but trying to help navigate people that are trying to get to where maybe we've been to in our life to help them out. Hey, there he is.
Sorry, guys.
He reappears.
Hey,
what was the last thing you heard? I think I was talking to myself for like 2 minutes.
No, you were just talking about, how cold it was out there, and then you froze. So that's pretty fitting.
Oh, that's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah, there we go. Let's try this again.
Okay. So I don't know where I cut off, but
you didn't get anywhere.
I didn't.
You didn't do anything.
Wow. All right. Well, that makes it easy. So, I'm the founder of Hearts and Minds, and really the visionary on what we're trying to do with, really not just mental training, but we're trying to. We see mental training as being one of the last frontiers of development that is rapidly approaching the most common athletes that we have, all the way down to the recreational level. We're talking, sports psychology and mental training that used to be only reserved for the Olympians, the professionals, and the most elite organizations. And now, kind of the vision that we have and the way technology is expanding, we're wanting to make mental training available to athletes all across the globe that's both A, affordable, and B, accessible. And years and years ago, there used to be this high barrier of entry before somebody could even get in touch with a sports psych. Even when I was working at the Olympic facility in Ohio, the most common, examples I would get phone calls all the time from local high schools asking me, "Hey, would you mind coming and talking to our kids?" I get asked by different colleges, "Hey, would you come and guest lecture? Hey, would you come and do this?" And when I'd have to go back to them with a pricing sheet, or go back with a budget sheet, or go back with different things. There was such a high barrier of entry that it didn't make sense for them. So I always kind of had that burning desire of like, and I'm originally from a small town in Iowa, and I always had that burning desire of, I want to make mental training affordable to anybody across the globe. It doesn't matter where you are. So, and again, Dave, I don't know if he shared or not, but him and I, we really kind of, with Jacob's help as well, about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago is when we first did our first initial beta with the app and testing it. Does this concept work? And we proved it over the last 4 years that the concept does work. 5 minutes or less of mental training. Again, the app is one thing that we do. We do many things, but anyway, no, I'm really excited that. First of all, I'm excited, Cory, that you kick off a new global calls on Sunday, and we've had some pretty good support and pretty amazing guests. And then also the new addition of Jessica on the team, and Dave and Jacob constantly working on the app. Really excited for what we're doing.
Awesome. I am definitely looking forward to the few guests that I have lined up for next year. I actually had one message me today, a guy named Bo Porter, who was the manager for the Astros for a while. He is he was a third base coach for the Angels this year, third base or first base coach, but he's doing a few things here in Houston, has a bunch of foundations. Actually, he wants to talk about doing some things with our stress initiative, possibly. So, and for guys who know what the stress initiative is, actually it's called what we call the Forge now. God, we gave it a cooler name. But
yeah, we're pretty much in the process of expanding stress initiative, and we're going to have some different versions, some for athletes, we have some law enforcement that wants to potentially get involved with stuff like this just because of how it works.
Where was I bro?
That's a not confirmed development, but a new development.
I feel like you guys are holding out,
Trevor. But I mean, we
classified.
can kind of give yeah, exactly. That's redacted. We can pretty much give an explanation of what stress initiative is, though, Trevor, if you want to give kind of an overview.
We put athletes under pressure to show opportunities where they can improve in real time. Mental training, by and large, in the last 15 to 20, 30 years has been a lot, at least from the public-facing view, has a lot been come to my workshop, come to my seminar, come sit down, come do this. And I'm not knocking it. We do that too. It's good, but there's nothing that beats experiential learning through doing. And that's exactly what Chaos Forge is. That's exactly what the Stress Initiative is designed to do, is to put athletes in families and the business leaders, the military personnel, the law enforcement that we're potentially going to work with. We're putting these participants under stress and pressure in real time. We're training them up with a handful of mental skills, and then we run it back. We do it again. And then what happens is those intuitive light bulb moments that as coaches and mental coaches that we're constantly looking for, they naturally happen. And what we're trying to drive really through with athletes is like, we don't have to reinvent the wheel on development. We have to do a couple of things very efficiently, very effectively. And the Stress Initiative shows coaches, shows teams, shows athletes exactly the areas that they need to work on in those next couple months instead of waiting the whole season to try and figure it out. And it's fun. I think that's the most important one.
I think you call it the gateway drug, right?
Yeah, I believe it's the gateway drug to mental training.
I love when you say that. It's definitely your video over here is kind of lagging, so I don't know if anybody else is lagging, but just you though. Everybody else is kind of like live, so I don't know if you're done talking because literally on my screen you're still talking and saying things. It looks very passionate, but nothing's coming out.
Oh, like a delay? Oh, he looks fine on my end. Not sure.
Okay, so now he's good. There we go.
We good?
I don't know what was happening. It was like super slow over here. Maybe I have Cricket Wireless or something over here. I don't know, but who knows? But no, for you listeners, the Stress Initiative is awesome. I think we are kind of rebranding. I didn't know anything about this police officer, so I'm actually excited about that. But for a guy for myself, I know that that's one place that I would say that I was lacking as a player at a young age was mentorship, the mental part of coaching. I would like to know for you guys that are the mental coaches, Jessica, Dave, Trevor, and even you, Jacob, as the next tennis player, like, what do you think? And I don't know, Jacob, do you deal with tennis much now, like the younger players?
I mean, I'm still around it. I still talk to, in terms of younger players, no, I do talk to a lot of the guys that I trained with that are currently on tour.
Uh-huh.
In terms of younger players, no, and I think there's a lot of nuances that comes with younger players, but I'll let Dave and Trevor and Jessica kind of go through that.
Well, I was just going to ask, like, what do you feel for all you guys? Like, I know I deal with, I don't know, from ages 7 or 8 years old to even some pro guys, but it's a lot different than when I played. And I know that the sports has gotten more sports specific, but I know that there's something that's missing in between the ears for a lot of players, even at the highest level. But I want to kind of get your guys' perspective. I'll probably let Miss Jessica go first again. Miss Vancouver.
Thanks. That's a great question. And I think that it's a challenge that a lot of athletes, but also their families face with oversaturation. First, primarily in soccer, there's so many clubs. Within one area, you're going to have 5 different clubs that are all big clubs now, where, you know, at first they were grassroots and they had a few age differentiations, but now they're all big, right? Because of oversaturation and they're competing. So that's one area of it. And then it's, you know, not only are they playing for the club, but they're now having extra training. And okay, now I have extra training for strength. I have extra training in academies, and then every club has their own academy. So it's really the decision that's being made for these children. Parents are kind of just going with what they hope or feel is best, and kind of either following the crowd. And that's one area of it. Then I also myself have experienced at the semi-pro level, the gray area between, you know, are we getting paid? Are we not getting paid? What's, you know, what deems someone as pro? And then we have a women's league, and then we have a semi-pro league, and then we have another league at another time for when university athletes come back. And now it's just this mumble jumble of like, you're playing the same athletes, but at different leagues, and it gets confusing. So, you know, I think, again, the investment for parents on a family level is, yes, you have to pay for the club itself because you need them playing year round, or, you know, you need them committed to something. But then at what point do they join their high school team? At what point do they need that extra training with another academy? What academy do they go with? And the mental training comes into play, where, you know, mental training should be provided at the club level. But because clubs are very, you know, close knit and they want to do it their way, and there's, you know, it's hard to incorporate that. So then you have to outsource that as well. Well, there's not that many hours in a day where a child can then enjoy their sport. It becomes a business so much sooner in life, and you take the love out of it. So I think that that's the pressures that I'm seeing with so many athletes at such a young age now. Like, I'll have athletes at the age of 12 that are stressed because their schedules are crazy. And I'm like, wow, at 12, I started playing soccer. Like, you know, I was still like loving it, running out on there. Like, I, you know, had my own anxieties, but it was never because there was so much pressure on me to, one, perform, but also the expectation of what was expected out of me at that age for my sport. And again, the conversation is then instilling, you still love the game. This is why you still love the game. This is why you're doing what you do. But it's almost like you have to remind them of that. And that's where a lot of the conversation comes with mental performance, and how we can inject ourselves into, you know, that you know, those athletes and at that level. But that's, you know, oversaturation and so many options. That's kind of what I'm finding, at least.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I know that even here in baseball, like, everybody has an organization. Everybody's supposed to be the best. And, you know, and a lot of it's quantity over quality.
That's right.
All right. What about you, Dave? What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I would echo everything that Jessica said. I think that as I think back to like AAU and basketball and things of that nature, it's just a lot more competitive, and it's a lot more of a business. And
Mhm.
combining those two things, as well as the parental pressure, and college is getting more expensive. I recently saw someone was applying to college. They were actually my significant other's cousin to I think it was Notre Dame, and it's $100,000 per year for tuition. That does not include room and board. College, when we went to college, or at least when I went to college, I don't know about you, Corey, you, Trevor, it was a lot less expensive than that. So I think that you combine a lot of the business aspect of it with the, oh my gosh, I need to get a scholarship, which I don't know if y'all have $500,000 sitting around, but I would need a scholarship as well. You combine all of those factors in, I think that things are getting a lot more competitive. And for athletes in general, taking a look at what's between the ears of these athletes, I think there's a lot of things that is pressure that's built up from social media, anxiety, things of that nature. The stuff that I'm seeing personally, there's a lot of negative self comparison. Right, so comparing myself to other people, saying what I have versus what they have, etc. And I think that it can be very damaging for athletes in this day and age.
I think at the younger levels, for sure, the comparison is the killer of everybody's joy in sports because a lot of times they're only seeing the wins of somebody versus, and a lot of times everybody's now is trying to be entertained versus kind of using social media for good versus evil. And I'm not saying that being entertained is evil, but I think that we're spending a lot of time as younger kids looking at stuff that's probably not going to help them and then not really knowing how those people kind of got to where they got to, like just the grind of it. Even if you're just an internet influencer, most guys didn't start up top or on top, and we have that microwave age, and it's kind of really weird to me. I don't know much about college, Dave. I'm just finding out that people are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to go to college. Um, I did not know that. I knew that college was expensive, but we went to SMU not long ago, and I found that it was a private university, and people pay $80 to $125,000 to go a year. That's ridiculous. I did not know that. I'm in the wrong business, apparently. I just need to figure that out. Jacob, I'd like to hear your perspective on this because you are a guy that now is out of tennis, obviously played tennis. I think from talking to some of these tennis players I've had on the podcast over the past couple of weeks and, seeing tennis from the perspective of my friend who's a coach, you guys tend to have some very intense parents.
Mhm. Yeah, I would say the parenting thing in youth tennis and junior tennis is there are a lot of ways it goes wrong. A lot of it is it's an individual sport, right? So when your kid's out there, you technically, I mean, sure, you can blame the opponent for playing good, but all the mistakes are on your kid. It's an individual
Yeah.
sport, and even if you're playing doubles, it's like it's still half. It's not like basketball. You got 5 guys out there, 10 guys deep bench. It's just not the same. And I think a lot of parents also in a sport like tennis where um, there's so few players on a roster in college that the
Mm,
scholarships are very few. And so if you want to trace it back to the scholarship thing, I mean, you're having kids that are specializing in tennis at the age of 7, 8 years
yeah.
old. And I mean, I was one of those, but I didn't get serious with it until I was about 12, which is still early for some people, right? But I didn't plan on playing college tennis, so that was a little bit different. I was planning on playing pro, but that's a whole nother tangent. The point is that when you have so few scholarships available, and you have kind of so few tournaments available. It's not like baseball where there's a showcase or whatever, or a
Every
tournament, perfect
weekend.
game, whatever, every weekend, right? You can do that in tennis, but the big ones are only going to be 5, 6 times a year maximum. So if you're not maximizing on those opportunities, you're going to have parents that are going to be frustrated with either their coach or their training or their fitness trainer of like, oh, why aren't you doing more? And it's like, bro, it's an individual sport, and the chips are going to fall where they may. And from the player's perspective, and this was my thing. So like my parents never put tons of pressure on me in terms of being successful. They put my mom and I are like this, and she was always just big on have the right attitude about it, and that's where we got into a lot of conflict because a lot of times I would be hard on myself. And as a result, most of the conflict came from that, right? But I didn't have parents that put a lot of pressure on me because I put a lot of pressure on myself. And I think that's even more than the parenting thing. Yes, the parenting thing is big, and sometimes the parent causes this in the child. But I think that the biggest issue is kids in individual sports like tennis just have a lot more insecurities in terms of identity issues because you are responsible for your play and you're the only one out there. And so if you lose, that's that's a detractor on your identity. Yeah, that's the biggest issue I would think with tennis on top of the parenting, but it's just a tough sport to mentally separate yourself from a career versus who you are as an athlete.
What is the age group that you can go pro? Because I remember meeting, was it Coco Golf? That's her name.
Mhm. Yeah, Coco.
I think she was like 14.
Yeah, Coco went pro at 14, did pretty well right away. I mean, she's strong. She
Yeah,
was always really good. And women's tennis, it is a lot more common to go pro
yeah.
younger. She was still an anomaly, mind you. But like to go pro in
Okay.
women's tennis, it's like at 16, you can go pro, no big deal. Men's, it's starting to shift a little bit because you're seeing more guys starting to go to college because of NIL.
Yeah.
But the general age that a guy's going to go pro in men's tennis is going to be 18 to 20. If you go pro, you're going to go pro. If you go to college, you will go pro at probably 22, 23. And there's a lot of stuff that comes with that as well mentally. But a lot of guys end up going pro earlier than they should. And I think that takes a big toll mentally as well.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, I met her a couple years back because her brother plays baseball. He was solid. He was kind of small, but we'd always see them in tournaments. I didn't know that she was 14 because she's tall. She's a big girl, and she's looks like a grown woman. And yeah, when I found out she was 14, I was like, wow, I didn't, and I watched her play. And I like tennis a lot because it is an individual sport, because unlike baseball, it doesn't seem like there's a bunch of politics in it, because if you're good, you get rewarded, right? Kind of like golf. I'm sure there's politics. Don't get me wrong.
You'd be surprised.
But I'm like, if you beat everybody, then you automatically, to me, I'm like, if you beat everybody, like, don't you get rewarded? Like, if you're that guy?
You do. But there's also a lot of politics when it comes to sponsorships and who gets
I believe
their
that
national association and who doesn't.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of conflicts there. Same thing with college. There's a lot of politics in that. But yeah, I mean, I played my first pro tournament at 16, 17, somewhere in there, probably like on the verge of that. And then 2 tournaments later, my career was over, but that's a whole nother story. But like I went pro at 16, 17. And you can do that. And I quit juniors early. And there were advantages to that, like, me playing against men for one, because there's a big advantage to that. But there's also disadvantages to that where I didn't give myself enough reps to get mentally tough playing against guys I should beat, right? So yeah, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but that's individual sports are tough mentally.
Yeah, I feel like with the politics, though, like I'm looking at sports from the pro and the amateur thing too. Is like I'm watching guys that are less skilled get more money because they're more brandable.
Yes, very much so.
And that to me is, I don't know, like I watched the All-Star game of baseball, and I'm watching guys that aren't leading in any category getting selected to All-Star games. I'm just like, this guy's really good, but this guy's making it because he's more popular or online a lot more than actually playing good baseball. But neither here nor there, though. But Mr. Travers, you've done college baseball. You've been mentally coaching professional athletes and Navy SEALs and all Olympians. So I'd like to hear your take.
The landscape of sports is radically changing because of the financial impact behind it and the business that is enveloping everything around it. I mean, you guys have all hit on amazing points, but like Dave and I, when we were at Aspire together, it was only 2-3 years old at the time. There was an HBO documentary that came out. Peter Berg directed it and did it. It was really good. It was called Trophy Kids. And it highlighted 4 case study examples of 4 parents four families, 4 parents following 4 different sports. They had a football, they had a tennis, they had a basketball, they had I forget the last sport, golf. So they had these 4 sports. They followed them around for a long period of time. like a semester. And the film crew documented all the internal behind the scenes conversations. All the parents were driven by status, rewards, external success. And what happened is the first 20 minutes of the documentary, you feel pretty good about watching it. You're supportive. You're like, oh yeah, you're internally, you're cheering for these kids and you're excited for them. The last 40, 45 minutes, an hour of that documentary, it's the most cringeworthy thing that you've seen. And the reason is because you see all the ugly behind it, behind the way that the parents are interacting with these kids. And I'm not saying all parents do this at all. This is not a blanket statement. This is just the nature of where the industry is moving. And what that was a very prophetic thing. What happened, 17 years ago, 15 years ago, however long that documentary was. And there was a very prophetic thing of just showing how many billions of dollars that they're predicting that the sports industry and the amateur sports, Jessica was talking about with youth soccer, youth baseball, Cory, youth softball, basketball, the AAU circuit. So back then, they were saying that in the next, they actually looked at trophy companies just as an anecdotal example. So trophy companies was going to grow by an exponential like $1.2 billion as an industry in the next from like 2010 to 2020. Now, whether or not those metrics actually happened or not, I don't know. That might be good to go back and do some research. But they were making some big projection and predictions based on hard data that was coming. So you see all these different sports and it's coming together. And NIL was Pandora's box that just blew everything open now. So NIL in the space of collegiate athletics, professional athletics, and you're right, Cory, social media has a lot to do with how marketable are you? How brandable are you? We've got kids now, mini Gronk or little Gronk.
That was my first guy.
Yeah, like little guy like that. Like, how old is he? 13, 12?
He's like 13 now, and I hate to say it, he's not that good at football, but he's killing it financially.
Yeah, and the thing is the kid found a niche. He's built a following, and he's made himself brandable. Now he gets sent all kinds of opportunities. So we live in a day and age where you're rewarded for notoriety and instant, microwave kind of opportunity. So here's the part that I really press on hard for us, our company, our brand, what we're trying to do. I don't care about how good of an athlete you are. I just don't. I don't care how big your following is or isn't. I've worked with some of the world's best. That stuff doesn't impress me. Never has. Because I've seen behind the curtain. I've seen the other side. And here's what I'll tell you. Those most successful guys and girls, I've watched them weep in the hotel rooms after they've just had success, after they just won. And they can't walk across the street and sit down at a restaurant and order food without getting bombarded by paparazzi and the celebrity status stuff. They can't be a human. Where I want to plant our flag as a company is this. I don't care about how big you are. I don't care about how awesome your celebrity status is or isn't on social media, or how many brand deals you do or don't have. God bless you if you do. But I care a lot more about who you are and who you're becoming. Because at the core of it, at some point, Baby Gronk's career is going to end. Then what happens? Then who are you? Because if you're not working on that internal identity, who you are, who you're becoming, this is all a facade. This is just a 3-ring circus, guys, in a digital sphere. That's all it is. So what I'm trying to really press hard, and we do a good job, I believe, in the app, is constantly teaching the mental skills and the basics of it, of what does resilience mean? What does resilience look like? What does resilience and having a great attitude mean, even when you don't feel like it? And Dave and Jessica are resilience experts. I mean, both their backgrounds are deep in resilience, big R and little r in resilience. And they could talk me under the table with all the science, all the data, all the information behind it. But the core of it, it really comes down to who are you becoming? And that is a core human problem that we have neglected over the last 20 years. In athletics, I believe is the final frontier to be able to help athletes and families before, wheels fall off the bus. And I say wheels fall off the bus because careers end. They just do. So, regards to where we're at as a company, what we're trying to do, and how we're trying to help bridge this gap, I really believe we're on the cutting edge of something with the app being able to make mental coaching available in real time to help athletes, families out.
I think I wanted to chime in here really quick because Trevor makes a really good point. And also taking baby Gronk as an example, I think like now, baby Gronk, Cory, you made a comment that he's actually not as good of a football player or whatever sport that you're in as you may think that he is. So I think my point is this: you could be 10, 11, 12 years old. You're on social media, you gain a ton of followers, and then you go D3 when you're 18. And I don't get any D1 offers. And so now I'm in the sphere of, Trevor, to your point, now I have to go somewhere, whatever, the paparazzi's there, blah, blah, blah. All of the paparazzi is on your phone now. And everyone that is following you is seeing that you didn't make it, right? I saw you go viral. You were awesome, blah, blah, blah. And now you didn't make it. You didn't go D1 Alabama, which what we thought you would. And so now that results into, exactly what Trevor's talking about, this disconnect between an individual's identity in their sport and who they are or who they aspire to be, compounded by the fact that now I have all these followers that have all these expectations of me in the social media sphere setting. So Trevor, I think that like the game is changed a lot and it's even more complicated now than it was. Now we can also point to social media, and especially in youth sports, but also women, social media has been linked to anxiety, depression, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera in women, and is banned now in Australia. You have to be a certain age. What is it? 16? Well, I don't even know what the age is in order to get onto social media. Right. So I think that all of that compounds into this, like, hey, be an influencer, awesome, create your following, great, NIL, awesome, amazing. But I think that we're really looking at the big problem here is what is the mental health of these athletes and what is it going to be going forward? Sorry, Jessica.
No, thank you. I love this discussion. And it started with, Jacob bringing up the word identity, because just children going from their identity of their family, then their identity of making coach proud, and then their identity of their sport. And when they don't succeed, their identity suffers and struggles. And then that identity to social media is why we're experiencing that depression or that anxiety, is because we're not deeply rooted in who our identity is, because we're jumping from one to another. We're jumping from one coach to another. We're jumping from, now my family's proud of me, or now they're not, or, you try to constantly create or recreate that identity, but it's not on stable ground. So then you run to social media and you try and cling to somebody that maybe represents, an influencer represents that identity that you want to embody. But when you don't meet those expectations, that's where depression gets even deeper. So we're clinging to these different versions of what our identity can be or be made up of. And it continues to fail. So that's where, as mental performance coaches, that's where we jump in and fill those gaps, because our identity can be anything that we want it to be. And that's where Trevor is coming in and saying, as long as you have a solid foundation in who you are, no matter what room you walk into, no matter what field or court you walk onto, you're showing up. And that's what I learned, like in my third year university, when I started to release that identity of I need to make coach proud, or, you try so hard to make it onto a team, you're there, but that's not even half the battle. The battle is getting through training camp, getting through, being a starter and not just being a first year. So there's so many different things that you're trying to run towards, but then run away from. And that's where our identity gets lost. And where these influencers come in is very scary, because what are they influencing? It's again, they're once they get that dollar sign, it's like then they're chasing that dollar sign, and they're not really in it for your true intentions. And they're leading all these athletes, and it's like, what are we leading them towards, right? And they are anomalies. There are anomalies of influencers that dedicate their art and craft to just that. And it's not just the sport itself, it's the business of the sport. So I think I love this conversation, because it's the reality of it, and that's what we get consumed in. And I'm, guilty of it too. But yeah, I think that's a really real and raw perspective to have.
One thing I'm starting to see a lot of is, and again, in my world, we have a lot of guys that are making the most money are doing the corniest stuff. And me and Trevor had this conversation a lot. And I'm seeing guys that I know that back in the day that maybe hit me in my DMs like, hey, how do I do this, this, and this? And then I'm watching them now constantly change the way they're selling to they're influencing people. Like it became at first it was authenticity and that wasn't making the money. And then it became sometimes, and sometimes they're selling Jesus and they're selling this. And I'm like, and at the end of the day, it's, they start to sell packages of like, proprietary blends of training that really is just a moneymaker. $20 a month, you getting 100,000 followers. That's a lot of money. And I know what some of these guys are making. And sometimes telling the truth or being honest doesn't really get you where you want to go. But when I've talked to a lot of professional athletes, especially on this podcast, the one thing I've heard everybody say is, is being genuine with themselves. And that's how they navigated through playing sports. For me, it was a struggle coming from a small town, not really seeing a lot of money, wanting to make a bunch of money, but also loving the notoriety, but hating the notoriety. Like when I first met Trevor, I was like, yeah, I hate talking about baseball. But also, too, I like baseball and I want and hate the notoriety. Like playing overseas, I hated people coming to my table wanting to take pictures. But also, I wanted that because I'm like, that equaled success, in my opinion. And so now we're dealing with parents that are edifying themselves by their child's or players' performance. Now it's I'm a cool parent because my kid made varsity as a sophomore. Now I'm a cool parent because my kid plays for XYZ organization. And then when that kid's not doing well, it's now the parent is pushing those insecurities on the kids. And it's really a tough situation for the kid because they're not necessarily mature enough to. We look at our parents sometimes with too high regard sometimes until we get older and realize sometimes the parents don't always know something. Because sometimes I think adults are still 12 and 13 years old. They just have great jobs. We have a question from the viewers. What surprised you most? Oh, there we go. What surprised you most once Focus 5 was actually in athletes' hands this year? That's you, Trevor. Trevor, you got it?
Yeah, I'll take it. I didn't know if anybody else had a story, but so we had an athlete who reached out via DM, and actually I've had a handful of them, and this goes on 4 years consecutively of providing this level of support. So I mean, this is nothing uncommon to us, but again, it came back to okay, this thing works, and it's the reassurance that we always are kind of looking for. Like, man, are we making a difference? Are we helping athletes out? And this is what got me over the line to write my books. And it's what got George over the line when George was writing his first book. And I told him to do this. I did this myself. It was a good activity for me back then. I had a little sticky note next to my desk because I'm thinking to myself, like, man, I don't know if this book is going to help anybody. I don't know if it's going to affect anybody. Like, who knows, right? Like, am I going to sell any copies? I don't know, but like I know I got to get this message out. So I drew this little sticky note and I put a stick figure guy on it, and I put a little thought bubble next to him, and I said, "I need Ace." That was the title of my book and the concept. I need Ace. Anyway, I drew the guy, and I had the visual avatar, and I detailed it out. 14 years old, from Georgia, plays baseball. Thinks success means going 4 for 4 all the time. And then every time I would get frustrated, I would look at that little avatar and I would visualize, and I'm like, okay, I'm writing this for one. I'm writing it for you, buddy. I haven't met you yet. I don't know you, but I'm writing it for you. Meaning this, if I can influence just one person's life in a positive direction, I've done my job. I can feel good about that. The same concept with our app. So earlier this year, we had an athlete send a DM, really struggling with anxiety, really struggling with nerves, anxiousness before exams. That led to an impromptu, real quick. I sent 4 or 5 messages back and forth, quick exchange. And this is real-time access, real-time DM support. And then all of a sudden I said, I'll tell you what, I know that you've been, tracking the app for quite a while. I see all your focus points. Hey, I'm going to send you this course. And it was an anxiety course that we had. And anyway, Anxiety 101, I think, is the course inside the app. I said, watch this, see if this answers some of the issues that's going on. Responds back, oh my gosh, this is amazing. She binge watched the whole thing. It took like 45 minutes. She binge watched it all. And an hour goes by. She's like, I just watched all of them. And sure enough, I went in the admin console. I looked at it. I'm like, oh my gosh, she did. Because I could see it. So anyway, she just responded. She's like, yeah, I saw it all. I watched it all. Man, this has helped me so much. Can I watch it again? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Do it again tomorrow. So anyway, sure enough, come to find out, we've had a handful of those cases already this year where athletes are struggling with real-time issues, real-time things. They're able to DM us. We're able to provide support real-time, $5 a month. Like, this is exactly what we created this thing to do.
Man, did he freeze again?
I think he was done with his point, but he did freeze. Yes, there he is. He's back. You there, Trevor?
I'm here.
There you are.
Anyway, so yeah, I think that was the most exciting thing, though, was being able to provide support real time. Our app is living up to exactly what we had designed it to do.
You have possibly a organization in Dallas, possibly that is making it mandatory for their athletes to use it.
We do. Yeah, we have a volleyball club, early partner that we have in Dallas. We went up there about a month ago, did a kickoff with them and their entire organization. I'm so excited about what they're developing. They're building a club from the ground up, first year, but they're making it mandatory as part of like a front loading in a primer before they use it for practice. So again, the concept of the app, we want 5 minutes of mental training. They're using it as a pre-performance and a training exercise. Hey, we're going to listen to this module. Hey, we're going to do this. We got a couple of universities doing the same exact thing right now. And the level of practice that they're communicating back and the attention, the attitudes, the effort that people are giving is higher. And it's like, well, should we really be surprised by that? No, it's like, it's exactly what we've designed it to do. But now what it is we're allowing some of these programs and universities to really discover it and say, wow, I had no idea what a difference this makes.
For you listeners out there, if you want to check out the app, download the Focus 5 app. I think Jacob can put the link in the video or bio. Is that what we call the video? And please download the app. There is a free side. There's also a premium side that is $5 a month. So you can leave your Celsius and or Starbucks coffee alone and make yourself better. I would say, too, for you guys, I know there's a lot of guys that listen that are in organizations in sports, football, baseball, basketball, but it's also a good team bonding thing, I would say. I know that we did a stress initiative in Iowa, and I'm going to say that all those, I think it was the softball team, is that what it was that was using? I would say, first of all, that was an amazing event. It works. I know, again, as an ex-athlete, that it is very beneficial, number one, for mental training, mental coaching, also being a better teammate, learning how to be a follower as well as a leader. Sometimes even when you're the general, you're still a soldier, right? And so I would behoove some of you guys to get all your organizations on the app if you could. But what about you, Dave? What is one of the, I guess, surprised you most about the Focus 5 app?
Yeah, I think one of the things I wasn't anticipating was that coaches and athletes would use it before practice. I think it's a very powerful thing to do, but it, again, wasn't within the cards. I was thinking as we were like creating the app, creating modules, creating all of these like videos and auditory, 5-minute focus points. For me, it was really just, I would use it personally, maybe before a game or daily. So 2 things, I think. One is the application. Like, the coaches got their teams together right before practice. They would listen to a module together. They would talk about it for 5 minutes, then go and practice with those tools right in their toolbox for them to use. The second thing was the streaks. We have a current athlete on the app that I think has used the Focus 5 app for 26 days straight. And they have, I think it might be 27 or 28 now. Jacob, you could fact check me on that if you'd like. But the streaks are amazing. So I just didn't know that it would be so welcome to individuals, as well as utilized by athletes for 27 days straight. I mean, that's amazing. And to your point, Trevor and Cory, that's really what we're about. Like, if you want to, as an organization, download our app and have our app serviced to your athletes, whether it's 100 athletes, 200 athletes, 300, 500, doesn't matter. We are able to onboard, and you're able to get your athletes mental fitness skills and mental health skills that are going to correlate to higher performance, but also better people and individuals, right? Better focus, more confidence, anxiety management, et cetera, et cetera. So from there, I mean, I've just been over the moon with like the feedback that we've gotten from it. So yeah.
We've all kind of mentioned comparisons on social media, and this kind of happened to me the other day. I have a blue check in Instagram, and so we're in a society now where everybody wants to be right and feels like they want to make athletes feel like crap, or everybody talks crap all the time, right? And somebody said something to me on a post that I was tagged in, and they were trying to get me to bait me into saying something. Or they tagged TMZ. I'm like, bro, I haven't played ball in 20 years, whatever, 10 years. But how do you guys that are mentoring these athletes do you talk to these guys about social media and how to deal with that? Like, because I know for me, when I don't, I'm not doing mental coaching. I mental coach guys every single day, and guys as girls too, guys. But I get these conversations about real life stuff, and I enjoy it because I like that part of my job better than the baseball or the softball. But a lot of these kids are navigating, trying to fit in, separating themselves from the sport, or trying to figure out where they fit in the first place. There's a large influx of youth and parents, but youth for sure, that aren't really showing people how to treat them. They're accepting bad friendships just because they want to be popular. And it really drives me nuts to see friends or people that they have friends with them, and the friend does something bad, and they're too forgiving sometimes, and they just keep bad company around them. So like, how do you guys navigate with people getting negative comments on social media, or even just bad social circles in the lives of some of your players?
Jessica.
Yeah, I was going to go to her first, actually.
Knew it. Yeah, I think my mind goes in a multitude of directions. A couple things that, like, if I'm working with a one-on-one athlete, and I use the mirror analogy as an example. It's like every day we're going through our lives. We wake up in the morning, we're brushing our teeth, briefly looking in the mirror, and we're taking off. Some of us spend a little bit more time in the mirror. That's fine. But then we're taking off and we're going on about our day, and we're looking at the world in front of us. Very rarely do we look inward because we're always just distracted by what's going on in front of us, right? And we're making that comparison. It's very natural. What social media does is it 10 times that, 100 times that, is we're constantly looking at other pages, other individuals, your For You page, things that are, your algorithm, things that you want to look at. And very rarely, even like as an athlete, I always had to remind myself, if I'm spending 5 minutes looking at other people, I better spend 10 minutes looking at my own page, looking at my own highlights, looking at my own, successes that I've done. That's why I put my page up. And when I started to change my relationship with social media, and I started to see it as a platform, like my own resume, instead of the focal point being I'm interested in someone else's life, then that's where it changes your focus. It changes your direction in your relationship with social media, to where then when somebody random makes a comment, it doesn't affect you as much, because that's not the purpose of why you're there. The purpose of why you're there is to remind yourself of who you are. When I started to shift that mindset, I think that, again, your approach becomes different and it doesn't hurt you as much. Not that it's not going to hurt, not that you don't start second guessing. You're allowed that brief period of what the question mark, but you're allowing yourself to move forward in a direction where it's like, haters make me better. If there's haters, then if there's no haters, then I'm not doing it right.
Not doing anything.
So, kind of changing that perspective as well. Like, when you're doing something out of the goodness of your heart, if your intentions are there, like you go back to that whole cycle of, why am I doing certain things? Why am I the way that I am? If I'm getting under someone's skin just by being intentional and just by being myself, well, that's a reflection of them, not a reflection of me.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of heads into that direction of reframing why I'm triggered, and then reframing again, look at this platform. This platform is again meant for me to showcase myself. If someone doesn't like it, go to another page.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, again, it's very blunt, but I think it's very, again, down to how the relationship that we have with social media.
I think more people need to have more audacity to believe in themselves than be comparison. Like, I know I deal with more right now, which is weird because these kids are like 14 and 15 and 13, 14, 15, and they have more relationship problems than anybody ever seen. But you get, and a lot of times, you get guys that want to talk to girls, and I kind of relate a lot of it to baseball, but I had to tell a kid one day, like, if you had a bucket full of money and the girl didn't, and a bucket, she didn't know what it was, and you want to go talk to the girl because he's like, I want to talk to this girl. And I said, well, you give her this bucket, she didn't know what's in there, but say it's a bucket full of $1 million. And he goes, okay, well, if she says no, you've got to feel the way, you've got to kind of think that you're that valuable to go talk to her, like she's missing out, versus like you're putting her here, you're putting her there. And it's not putting, and I don't think a lot of people have the audacity to believe in ourselves, because I know I hate to hear the word humble all the time. And by definition, I hate it. And I hear that word all the time, and it drives me nuts, because I feel like a lot of times we're convincing our youth to not be genuine about their skill level or what they really can do, versus putting themselves below everything because they're too scared to be confident or whatever else it is, right? And there's nothing wrong with being confident and thinking you're good. Sometimes I think you just have to be realistic and say, well, there's also other people that are good. There's somebody that probably wants my spot. And there's also somebody that is always jealous or has something to say. And sometimes you just got to say, you know what, like you said, like, look in the mirror longer, at yourself than everybody else, because that's a lot of times that's a distraction, that comparison. Right?
Totally.
What do you got, Trevor? You look like you.
I was going to kick it to Dave.
Kick it to Dave, man.
Dave, go.
Is Dave frozen?
Yeah, no,
Dave
I'm here.
Oh, there you go.
No, I'm here. So it sucks, but social media is a tool, and that's all that it is. But it could also be this negative reinforcement cycle of individuals. Cory, I have to say, like, in a contrary thought, I almost think the opposite sometimes of individuals, that they're almost too confident in who they are.
I think it's fake,
but social media, it's good for that.
Sometimes
right?
you got you still win.
Exactly. But that's also the problem, right?
That's different. That's because we're ridiculous in a society. We're ridiculous.
But that's the problem, right? Because I could have this false sense of confidence in myself, my ego, whatever, and I'm showing people a different version of who I am than I actually am. And I think that behavior can be maladaptive. So yeah, you definitely could have individuals that are inside their shell, they're a little bit more reserved, et cetera, or you could use social media as a tool to promote this false narrative or sense of self. I could create this individual that isn't really who I am, but I'm portraying that on social. So again, I think, like, as you grow and as you develop, especially as younger athletes, like, your prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed. You don't know how to build relationships, and COVID, obviously, Jacob, you could talk to this too, being like an individual who like probably lived in was in school during COVID. I think that shifted a lot of like relational dynamics and how we approach others. If we do, how we talk to other people. I remember having a conversation with one of my athletes, and this athlete was like, I have all these problems with coach. And I said, great. Did you talk to coach? They go, no, I have no idea how to talk to coach. I go, well, let's workshop it. I'm coach. You're the athlete. Talk to me. Right. And I think we did this, Cory, for like 30 minutes, right? Or an hour. Like, we're probably going to do another session on it again and again. I think that just having this opportunity to talk to me and have these communication skills is highly valuable. So I think social media is doing two things. One, it's inflating a view of yourself that isn't truly who you are. And
Mhm.
2, it's degrading your ability to communicate valuably your thoughts and feelings to other individuals.
I think you're right. The whole thing is like a lifestyle filter that you're just constantly faking it all the time, and that's why, guys, you should just check out my 5 minutes or less. It's awesome. It's what I do. Plus, I have birds on there, all types of cool stuff. What about you, Trevor?
So you started the whole thing by asking, when we mentor individually or doing one-on-one coaching with athletes, do we cover this, and do we cross that bridge to help them out? And the answer unequivocally is yes. We provide a lot of support, but where I've had the most success working with athletes is helping them understand that, again, come back to the heart issue. Come back to, who are you when there's no cameras, there's no content, there's no social, there's nothing. Like, who are you? Because when we can get real with understanding who you are first and foremost, we can build those personas. We can build those personalities.
Mm-hmm.
But when the personality comes off, when they shut down social, when they get ready, they're brushing. Jessica's talking about the mirror. They're brushing their teeth at nighttime. They're looking themselves in the mirror. Can they look at themselves confidently and securely, knowing who they are and what they believe about themselves? And yeah, I firmly believe that right now we are at the very verge of seeing a massive identity crisis in our world. And sports is one of these areas where we are seeing a lot of it in real time, because I think athletes are, especially in our position, athletes are a little bit more comfortable being vulnerable, especially with us in a private setting. We're having these conversations weekly. And 10 years ago, I rarely ever had these conversations. Now it's every day. Even now, I'm traveling right now and I'm texting a few guys that's texting me, and I know the root issues that is brand new issues that they're bringing up. It traces back to identity. So anyway, to answer your question, yeah, we unequivocally handle this.
I want to ask this question online. I kind of want to get back to identity thing here in a second. It says a question from the viewer. You guys talked about resilience. What does that actually mean? I am a 14U volleyball player on a travel team out of Tennessee. And I read that completely backwards, but it's called, yeah. But what does resilience look like to you guys? What about you, Jacob? Like a resilient guy.
To me? Oh my goodness.
We're gonna time these. We're gonna time these answers. You got 20 seconds to hit it.
Yeah, agreed. Let me hide this. Okay, yeah, resilience to me. I mean, at its core, it's the willingness to fail is one part, because if you're not willing to fail, you're not going to try. But then also, when you fail, being willing to learn from those mistakes and still continue to try. And try is a weird word, of course, but to make an effort, right? The ability to bounce back, grit, all that stuff. I mean, there's so much research on that. Yeah, just having the security in yourself and we can go back to the identity thing of knowing that if you fall down, you are going to get back up and you are going to continue to put an effort forward.
Man, that was really
That's my
good,
20
Jacob.
seconds. It was probably longer, but
you started that one out hardcore and finished strong. That was really good, dude. I'll try to put you on the spot and I lost. Jessica, what is resilience to you? What does that mean?
Oof. Well, Jacob topped it, but I would add to that consistency despite your feelings. So our feelings can be, bring us up and down, however we wake up, how we're feeling that day, the weather outside, what our friends are doing, what they're not doing, the influences that we have, what we see online, what we don't see online. Motivation is also a feeling. Confidence is also a feeling. So despite all those things, a loss from a game and then waking up the next day and still getting up and having to train, that's resilience. So that consistency is there regardless of how you feel. You just have that determination to show up regardless. So that in sum is how I would define it.
Yeah, that was mine. Basically, doing things regardless of how you feel sometimes, and sometimes I think winning gets toxic because if we're number one, a lot of times in travel ball, we're worried about winning so much. We're winning everything that probably we're not playing to our competition level. And sometimes that butt whooping might be what we need to get us over the hump. Dave, you look resilient. That mustache is very resilient.
Is it? That's pretty nice.
Awesome.
I appreciate it. No, I mean, just to echo what everybody else said, resilience is bouncing back in the face of adversity. I think what's funny about resilience, to Jessica's point, is there is another term called anti-fragile, which is a book also, but it is not only bouncing back in the face of adversity. So if you threw a tennis ball, that tennis ball is going to hit the wall, it's going to bounce back to you. But what anti-fragile is now I grow from that experience. So not only did I bounce back as the same person that I was previously, so hey, suffered a defeat, now I'm here, right? Same person. No, but I grew from that experience. That's anti-fragile. So I'll add another layer onto that of what everyone else said is when I was doing resiliency work with individuals in the military, one of the things I kept coming up was, okay, I can bounce back in the face of adversity, but I'm actually getting better from this adversity that I'm facing. And adversity could be external, but majority of the time, to Jessica's standpoint, my adversity is internal. It's really up here. It's me defeating myself before I even get started, saying, oh, I can't do that because of X, Y, and Z. I don't have the skill level. They're better than me, whatever it is. And you're kind of defeating yourself in your own mind. Well, if you can get out of your own way, awesome. That is resilience. So how do I bounce back from adversity, the adversity in my own head and the adversity in the environment? That's what we teach.
Man, you guys are really good. What about you? Hey, Trevor, you got a Mariano review. You got to close this out. What are you doing?
So I'll take a different approach, but I can't echo any further what these guys have already said. The question came from a 14-year-old viewer. I'll talk at a 14-year-old level. Everybody falls down. You fall down. I fall down. Everybody falls down at some point. How quick do you get back up? How quick are you willing to learn from it? And are you willing to approach it with the right attitude? Okay. So here's the different approach I'm going to take. So this is from the book of James in the Bible. It's book of James, 1st chapter, 2nd verse. It says, consider joy, brothers, when you face trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. Let endurance have its perfect result, so you may be perfect and complete and lacking in nothing. Now, I'm going to peg this really hard. It opens by saying this: consider it a joy when you face trials. Now, wait a minute. You're saying when I got cut from my team, consider it a joy? Yeah. Well, why? With the right attitude, with the right resilient mindset, with the right grit and determination, what happens? That's the story of Michael Jordan. Okay. I could go case by case in an example with athletes, but it's with the intentionality and the mindset behind it, the attitude behind it. That is one of the biggest differentiators. So anyway, that's one of my favorite scriptures that I fall back to on resilience.
You cheated because you went more than 20 seconds. But yes.
And I even laid down the rules.
Yeah, you gave the ground rules. No, I think you did mention something like getting cut from your team. And I think one thing that doesn't happen anymore, really, especially in the youth baseball, is that it's very tough now to get cut and have to wait till next year to play because there's always somebody that'll take your money. And like when I was playing ball back in the day, it was like if you didn't make the team that year, you had to come back better. Now the opportunity to get better is difficult because somebody will always take your money and take your circus on that team. And so some of you guys, parents especially, are thinking that your child is better than what he is. And I'm not saying bag on your child, but because this organization B won't take him, this guy will, because they'll take your $1,000 a month. And I think some of us as parents are avoiding that adversity, failure with your kid because there's always somebody that will take your money. Now, I don't know how to mitigate that situation, but we're getting a false sense of success sometimes because there's always somebody that'll let you come play. And it's ugly sometimes. But I do want to kind of backtrack to identity because I wanted to ask you guys this question because I don't know how to answer it. But I'm kind of getting there. But how do you answer the question of who am I? If somebody were to ask you that, Trevor, if you had to explain who you are.
Well, I'll go with where I was as a college athlete first, youth athlete, college athlete, and then where I am now, because I think it's shifted and changed quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things as the company's growing and what we're trying to do is I want to start trying to train athletes how to understand who they are.
Yes.
At a much earlier age than where I discovered later in life, right? So when I was a high school athlete, I was a very good athlete. I was a medium fish in a small pond, if you will. I was pretty good. Got to college, got my eyes open, realized, wow, these guys are thinking the game faster than me. My identity shifted from I was really confident, really strong, really good to, the coach that I'm playing for only talks to me if I produce. I guess if I go 0 for 3, I guess I'm nobody to him. I guess I'm nobody to the team. My identity went drastically down pretty quick. I ended up burning out my 5th year of eligibility and ended up, quitting the team. I didn't want to play that 5th year. I was psychologically done. And thank goodness I was in a master's program, a counseling program. And I already knew, all the sign stages of burnout. I was there. I made one of the most difficult decisions I had to. My identity was really about, I was a baseball player. That's who I was. I was a baseball player first. I was a student. I was a son. I was a friend. I loved being around people and helping others. Like those are the things that I identified with all the way up through college. And then I realized in the real world real fast, nobody cares what you played in college. Like nobody cares. Like, oh, okay, cool. Like, yeah, it's a good casual coffee shop, conversation. But like outside of that, it's like there's no real purpose in that. There's no deep identity in that people could really gravitate and relate to. So anyway, shifting into real world where I am now. First and foremost, I'm a helper. I'm a leader. And I'm a husband, I'm a father, all these things, right? But the most important thing was this. The biggest shift that I had was I'm going to quit trying to figure out who I am to everybody else. I'm going to go straight to the source. So me being I'm a Christian and I believe obviously in Jesus is Lord, right? So I went straight to the source and said, okay, Lord, tell me who am I to you and who am I to you in the kingdom? And when I went straight to the source, like lightning, I understood and I hear, Trevor, I made you to be a helper. And instantly, I have clarity over my life. Can't explain it. And the reason why is this is because you were made by a purpose, for a purpose, with a purpose, on purpose, with purpose. And as athletes, as obviously, you play a sport, but there's more to you than that. You may be good at that, but there's so much more to you than that. And sport obviously introduced the way that I was designed to help people, but I was made to be a helper first. But being a helper has many different avenues and venues to it, as I've learned. Same with being a leader. Has many different applications to it, many different ways. So anyway, you can chase identity from a lot of places. You can get validation from the world, but it's going to leave you empty. It's going to leave you dry. You can chase validation from sport. I can tell you, it's like a candle. It's going to burn out at some point. That wick will run out. The candle wax will go. It will. I promise. Give it enough time. But when you go straight to the source of the one who made you, things change. And you have instant peace and clarity and understanding. And anyway, again, like as a company and where we're trying to eventually go and encourage an athletes is understanding who you are and what were you made to do? Who are you made to be? What were you made to fulfill and do? And it's not as complicated as people think.
I got invited to go to a a player summit at the baseball winter meetings a few years back, and me and my wife at the time, rest in peace, and she's not dead; she's just kind of dead to me. But I was around a room full of professional athletes, right? Guys that had played in overseas, made millions of dollars. Some guys that had maybe 1 year. We all had major league time, but guys that were really good ball players, and they had their wives or girlfriends and things like that with them. And I was amazed at the level of confusion, lack of knowing who they were. Guys that were at this time 40 years old, sometimes, that are still like, I still want to go play. And I thought that I was messed up, right? And I mean, not saying I definitely don't have it all together. People, I don't really act like how I feel, but at the time I just retired, and I didn't know really what I was doing. I just kind of got into the hitting. But it's amazing to me how many guys that have played, I wouldn't even just say athletes, successful financially people, that are struggling with identity, like struggling with liking themselves, loving themselves, comparing themselves to everybody else, trying to please the outside world. And the way, I don't know, I'm glad that you guys do what you guys do when it comes to the mental coaching. I think even outside of sports, you guys are listening. Us as mental coaches can definitely help you with identity, but I think it's just really amazing to me. And I guess now with all the talk of mental health, and I know there's a lot of horror stories of people that retire after sports and don't make it, doesn't get talked about enough. And I think we gloss over it a lot, but I know there's been a handful of athletes. I'll use Chris Sabo, baseball player, great ball player, one of the hardest nosed players in the world. And then a few years after retirement, like, you find him, he killed himself.
One of the most important things that I think helps athletes discover identity is tell me the biggest lies that you've believed about yourself. And the reason why is because Jesus is wherever the truth is spoken. So if you confess, even though it's the truth of what that fear is, he's in the room, he's with you, he's there. You may be a believer, may not. I'm just telling you, the truth has been spoken. In confession, speaking that helps identify instantly what are the lies that you've believed about yourself. And that opens the door of listening to, okay, what more is there about me? If I believe that I really am not that pretty, if I believe that I don't have value, if I believe that I'm not a good friend, and I know deep down that's not true, well, guess what? You can unchain yourself from those lies, and that opens the door pathway over here to freedom. There is so much that athletes and adults, it doesn't matter, like, people can do just with that one simple concept. And that's really, I've got so many testimonies and stories and examples of athletes having these epiphany aha moments of like, wow, I get it. I understand. And again, that's what I was saying earlier, is like, if I was in that room 2 years ago, 3 years ago with you, Cory, I would have gently led the room and asked the question, what is the big, to somebody that shared that lie, what's the biggest lie you personally have believed about yourself? And I'm going to start confession in that moment, getting people to confess what are the things that they're scared of, what are the lies they believe, and watch what happens. There's going to be epiphany moments that happen of like, wow, I get it now. And anyway, we so many stories and examples of one of the guys that I've learned a lot of this concept stuff from. First started this out, tested this out with inmates of all things, and federal penitentiaries. And these are some of the most hardened criminals the U.S. has to offer. And it didn't matter. The truth was in the room. The truth is being spoken. So, Jess, go ahead. Hop in.
Nice.
Hey, where are these hand raising things at?
Oh yeah, it's at the bottom.
Oh, damn.
But just to kind of spin off that, which I love.
We're so polite.
It's very, yeah, I'm Canadian, part Canadian, but yeah. But just to kind of spin off that is the other piece that comes to mind when I hear all these stories, Cory, that you were mentioning about the gentlemen that are, getting into their sport and then leaving their sport and retiring, and their trajectory of their life maybe wasn't what they thought it would be or where it would go. And it's a testament to how stuck they might feel in that moment of feeling like a failure and feeling like they reached the pinnacle of their career or the pinnacle of their life, that anything afterwards is not going to be as fulfilling as it can be. And that's where, Trevor, when you come in and you give that insight to your life isn't over yet, because there's still so much more that you can do, so much more that you can give. And that's where, like, maybe I haven't still reached the pinnacle of my life, but I thought that I would go to Europe and play. I thought that I would, be the type of player where I'd run to the sidelines and kiss my baby. Like, that's what I thought. And sometimes it still does pain me when I see it on social media and I see others having that life. But what I do know now is I'm still changing lives. I'm still giving back. I'm still creating a safe space for an athlete that maybe needed that insight. So when I, like Trevor was saying, release those chains of what could have been, and now expose myself to something that can still be, and allow myself to think in that way instead of think in the past or think of, what didn't go my way, and trusting his way. That's what truly opens doors and truly opens insight to another chapter that we can't even explain or express, where we are now from 10 years from now, like where we're going to be because of the trajectory of our open hearts or our open minds, or being open to the possibility of something new. So I think that that's where athletes really struggle, is they're so set on one way and one path that, they don't see anything beyond that. And if it's not that, they don't want it, type thing.
I think I struggled early on with trying to live up to the idea of what everybody else thought that I had, or perception. Like, I automatically got drafted at 17, and then it was like everybody thought I had $8 trillion. And so, like, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta be that guy. Or, and especially coming from the area I came from, where you're the biggest downfall was most of the people around you a lot of time, in my opinion. But yeah, that, I don't know. I go back to that situation, but it was very sad to see guys that had made all kinds of money, like, and being around guys that have all kinds of money and they're almost miserable because of that's not saying money and everything. And I think money's awesome. I definitely would like more of it, but it's definitely not always the most satisfying thing if something's not, I would say, right inside somewhere, however you want to view that, though.
Money can buy you a house, but it can't buy you a home. Money can buy you a lot of really nice things, including a spouse, but it can't buy you a loyal spouse who loves you deeply for who you are.
Damn, Trev.
Money can buy you so many different things, but it can't buy you the deepest things that we want as human beings, and that's peace. It can't buy you that. You can't serve money and God or money and anything else because you're going to serve one master or the other. You can't serve both. You got to pick. And a lot of people choose, let's substitute the word money for materialism here. People serve that and they love that. Why? It gives comfort and it gives a microwave feeling to a point. And the point is, everybody's different. It could be that injury, that career-ending injury, and you're left with, like, what do I do now? Where does my life go? It could be I get cut from the team. I don't know what happens next. It could be kind of like Jess is talking about. Hey, I played, semi-pro soccer. Like, do I keep going? Do I not have these dreams? I'm athletic. I keep going. Like, it doesn't matter. It's like you will go to a point, but like money and materialism, like it can't buy you the deepest things that humans crave and we want. We want to be accepted. We want to be loved. We want to have value and purpose and meaning and peace. It can't buy you that. And
Hey, we need to talk more often, Trevor. Maybe. I don't know.
You don't talk to Trevor enough?
Not about me. Listen, man, I like myself. I'm trying to get myself to be, I don't know. I want to make sure everything's going on good in here. Like I got like soft skin and stuff, and my head's kind of perfectly round, but I want to make sure that all this going on inside internally is healthy. There's a really good chance I might get married someday. Apparently, according to Trevor, I need to get married, and I want to make sure that everything is working out well on the inside. But
by the way, like cool segue. So Dave
you're
is
great.
about
I'll be
to get
talking about me
married.
getting married. Oh, okay.
Well, Dave's about to get married. Cory has introduced his girlfriend, but it's more about like he's actually said, "Yeah, this is my wife." My wife said that. I'm like, "Whoa, Cory! Like you
It's a fraudulent slip.
Come on."
Freudian, not fraudulent, but yes.
Jessica,
Same thing. I've heard it both ways. It's fraudulent.
Jess just got married last summer? The summer before.
This past summer.
In Vancouver?
No, in Italy.
Oh, okay. Now you're just gonna. I got you. You flexed on me.
And Jess,
You asked.
are you able to share other life updates and other things? Or
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, not me.
Oh, not me? Oh, okay, yeah. And I'm also pregnant, 5.5 months. We're on our way to our little family.
That's so exciting. And then George on our team, he's nearly about to get engaged and married too. So
Are we going to that?
Hey, yeah, we got an open invitation to go to Honduras for that. Yeah,
Nice.
we'll make it a team bonding trip. Yeah, you know.
Wow.
He's not making it sound attractive though.
We got Dave Mitchell. We'll let him pull security. We'll be good.
That is true. That is true.
Dave Mitchell, for those watching, he's a retired SEAL Team 2 guy who's SEAL Team 2, SEAL Team 1 guy. Works with us. Yeah. And so Cory, you're next in the marquee, man.
Damn, I didn't know I was about to
You're
walk.
the right crowd. You're surrounded by the right people, so
Yeah.
Bro, 4 days from now is Christmas. So I mean, like, you got time. You got time, Cory.
I got time. I called my grandmother. I don't know. We were on the phone and I've never really talked to her about my girl, and I didn't know she even knew I had her. This is my dad's mom, and we don't talk much about my other grandmother, but just randomly she goes, "Are you about to get married or something, boy?" And I said, "Huh?" She goes, "Are you about to get married? I just feel like, I said, "Granny, are you about to get married?" She goes, "Hell no, I'm 91 years old." And she goes, "I'm just wondering. Something told me to ask you this." And I said, "Man, I got
intuition.
I'm gonna let you go. I'll talk to you later." But yeah, that's the rumor right now. So I don't know. I gotta catch up.
Well, I mean, you're right in line. I mean, love's in the air among Hearts and Minds guys and team. And I mean,
that's why I keep this plant right here so I can keep myself grounded.
I love that. Speaking of where we're going personally, where are we going professionally?
That was my next question, man. Where are we going? What is happening, Trevor?
So 2026, big picture, big vision. Here's where we're going as a company direction. I want to get really aggressive looking together to try and find and build amazing partnerships all across the country with clubs and organizations that have the same heartbeat and the same mindset that we do of we want mental training to be available, affordable, accessible to their athletes, to their families, coaches. So right now I'm looking for 10 partners and 10 partnerships across the US that it doesn't matter what sport it is. The minimum that I'm looking for is you have to have a minimum of 100 athletes in your club and organization. We'll work with smaller clubs too, but the goal is I'm wanting to forge deep partnerships with these clubs and organizations all across the country where we can do a lot of creative and fun things with them, including bringing stress initiatives to their locale and vicinity. And if you're watching and wondering like, well, what's that look like and what's that entail? Well, there's significant financial opportunities for these clubs and organizations to partner with us. And we're looking aggressively to really grow. As I kind of mentioned earlier, Stress Initiative is the gateway drug to mental training. So that's the big picture. App-wise, Dave, you and I, we've talked. Goal-wise, is we're wanting to land a major case study here later this year. We're wanting to run that. We missed our deadline this past summer to really run an aggressive case study. We're looking to do it again this summer. My goal for that is I want to have 10,000 athletes participate in a case study, and the goal is 200 athletes per state. So I want 200 athletes per state to sign up, do this online case study with us. It's overconfidence. I believe it goes 21 days, pre-test, post-test. And we've run that case study before. Now I want to do it with bigger numbers and really prove the point that we are effective in 5 minutes or less. Big last thing is this is, from a mental coaching standpoint and a team standpoint, by the end of 2026, I'm as a company, I'm wanting to be able to have us positioned and leveraged to have a team deep of over 20 mental coaches. It's a pretty audacious task, but I think we're up for a challenge. And I know those of us on this call and those that couldn't make it tonight, we don't back away from challenges lightly. So I believe that this year is going to be an awesome year. It's going to be a lot of fun, but as a team, we're going to have to roll up our sleeves and get to work.
Well, I don't have anything else for you guys at the moment. I do have to finish my book at some point because I am not doing it well at it. It's finished. I need to edit it. But guys, I'm very hungry. I really enjoy you guys a lot, and I look forward to doing this again. The Texans are clearly losing right now. And but for you guys tuning in, thank you guys. Please download the app. Please check out the Hearts and Minds website. I think Jacob has put all those things in the chat. Anything you'd like to leave our listeners with, Miss Jessica?
Oh, put me on the spot. I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful that everyone tuned in. Excited for more calls to come. Biggest thing I think, based off the question that we had about resilience specifically, is making sure that after each mistake, you're shortening that time, that turnaround time. And that's, in life, in your sport, and anything, whatever mistake comes your route, if you're quick to bounce back, like the analogy that Dave gave with the tennis ball, if you're bouncing back a lot quicker, then that's shortening your time between, being excelling and being who you need to be and moving forward and keeping that forward trajectory. So to all our athletes, to all our parents, all our coaches, again, thank you guys so much. Super grateful to be surrounded by these guys and be a part of the guys. So I really, really appreciate being here. So thank you guys.
Jacob, leave us with something awesome.
Something awesome. I'll just echo what Jessica said. I'm super grateful to be a part of this. And everything we do, we're very feedback oriented. So anyone who downloads the app, they let us know, what they want added in. We try to keep our development cycles pretty short. So if, anyone's in the app and they're like, hey, I would really want this, let us know, email us. You can go to our website, contact us, or you can contact us directly in the app. And yeah, here's to a great 2026.
Dave?
Man, I super stoked for 2026. Like, I really am. I think it's going to be, as Trevor said, our goals are ambitious, but if I was to leave athletes with one thing, it would be to look at the concept of mental fitness and consider it seriously. You wouldn't just go for a jog and then run a marathon the next day. It's the same thing with mental fitness. So that takes every single day and that's what our app is surrounded by. It's 5 minutes a day. Are you building mental fitness today? And what does that bar look like for you? So next time you get out there to run that marathon or whatever that looks like from a mental fitness standpoint, don't wait for the injury. Don't wait for, depression, anxiety. All of these things are cumulative. So are you practicing your mental fitness? Are you mentally fit? If not, download the app. You can start today.
Trevor?
I started this journey a long time ago, before I really met anybody on the team except Dave. Dave and I, we've known each other since 2013, 14. But I started this journey a long time ago with a very simple mission and a simple focus of we want to reach athletes and we want to help people. And that we've never wavered from that. The app just happens to be one of the best vehicles in the planet as we know it right now to be able to help athletes no matter where you are. As long as you have connection to the internet, Wi-Fi, you name it. So from a company standpoint, I'm extremely grateful for each of you on this call and also those that are not on this call. I know we have, we've been working together for quite some time on this, and some of us a little bit longer than others. I think, Jess, you're the newest one. But I'm so grateful for each one of you and so thankful for your guys' belief in the mission, the vision that we've set forth and where we're trying to go. It's a tall task what we have in front of us as a team. And I'm grateful that you guys see that. I'm grateful you guys understand that. So you guys are grateful for other things. I'm grateful for you guys and other things. So anyway, as a company is kind of the visionary behind where we're going. It's kind of lonely sometimes driving a ship and hoping that everybody kind of catches the drift and the vision. And hoping that you guys keep up with it because sometimes it changes really fast. So no, I'm really grateful as well for you guys putting up with me. I mean, man, that's a handful in itself, right, Jacob?
No comment.
Yeah. So like Jacob, I've been gone like 6 days, 7 days, and I know we said it at the beginning of the call, but like Jacob's phone has not been blown up this week, so you're welcome.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody else's phone for that matter. So no, I'm very grateful for you guys. And Cory, super excited for what you're doing with these Sunday calls and the guests that you're having and the amazing deep conversations that are happening with them. I mean, it's incredible.
I'm making it therapeutic.
It is therapeutic. My goodness.
Hey, I'm getting these guys to just spill out their deepest feelings out there. It is kind of crazy because like you'll say some things and like they'll just like spill their guts, and it's awesome. But Azariah got me last week, man. He got me. He reversed it. He had me talking about my dad and stuff. I was like, hey, I'm talking to you, dude. Like, what are you doing? Like, I need to call my dad, I guess. Let me see what he's doing. But for me, guys, same thing, man. Super grateful. We're all grateful here. But for you guys who are listening, some of you guys go to my Instagram and stuff like that. I get a lot of comments, but I'm on the same journey as all you guys, man. I think it never stops. Growth never stops. And I've been very fortunate to meet all of you guys and talk to you guys now, and Trevor and Dave and Jessica. I just met you, and even you, Jacob. I learned from you guys. Learn from you too, even though I'm probably the oldest guy here. But I never want to stop learning or trying to get better. And I'm not joking when I say like, I do want to be better internally. And I think that we should all strive for that, some form of growth versus, living the same year and same week every single week and year and call that, a lifestyle or a lifetime. So I appreciate all you guys listening, and you guys that will listen. Look forward to more interviews next year. And guys, I think that's all I got, man. I'm gonna go try to find something to eat. I'm struggling right now. I don't know what to do. You got any ideas?
Man, I've had enough seafood to last me a whole year over here.
That's actually what I want. That's actually might be what I want. But yeah, I'll figure it out.
You guys have an awesome Merry Christmas. Miss you guys. We'll see you soon.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Cory.
Merry Christmas.